I look forward to your report.
Emmanuel Tumusiime Mutebire was the governor and chairman of the board of directors of Bank of Uganda from 2001 until his death on January 23rd. One of Uganda's most influential economists, Mutebire died at 72 from a diabetic-related illness. Previously, he had served as secretary to the Treasury from 1992 to 2001. He was permanent secretary at the Ministry of Finance as it struggled to fix the economy after Uganda's devastating 5-year civil war. Simon Lokodo, a conservative former priest who wielded a moral stick over the country as the Minister of State for Ethics and Integrity, died aged 65. He was famous for his fight against the Nyege Nyege festival, homosexuality, and indecent dressing.
We condemn 3 things in homosexuality: exhibition, promotion, and open action. You cannot just go to the streets of Kampala and begin doing your things there. That is best.
He joined active politics in 2006, and Pope Benedict XVI excommunicated him from the Catholic Church after he refused to abandon politics. Papa Emorimori, Augustine Asuban Lemokol, the former paramount chief of Teso, succumbed to COVID-19 at the age of 87. He was a uniting factor in the Teso sub-region since his enthronement in April 2000. Before that, Osuban had been a civil servant and had retired from government service in 1988. The former Speaker of Parliament, Jacob Balanya, died of multiple organ failure at the age of 56, barely months after he was elected into the role of House Speaker.
Why do we have small grievances and small differences affecting what we must do for the people of this country? The purpose for which we exist in this institution is bigger than our own individual issues, differences, and all those things.
He is remembered for playing a key role in restoring peace in northern Uganda, which had been ravaged by a 22-year-old rebellion. As a presenter and disc jockey, Alex Ndaula revolutionized Uganda's radio airwaves with a style of presentation that was unique only to him. The advent of private radio in the 1990s brought Ndaula into our living rooms. His niche was the dance party on the weekends, where he held sway for over 20 years before retiring in 2017. He inspired many of today's current crop of presenters and DJs. He died of a brain hemorrhage at 59. Joseph Semakula Ndugwa, better known as Omugave Ndugwa, was a legendary theater director, playwright, and filmmaker in the 1980s through to the early 2000s. He is credited with shaping modern-day theater in Uganda as we know it today. His group, the Black Pals, outed 30 plays, 300 poems, and some films. Omugave Ndugwa succumbed to prostate cancer at the age of 82. General Eli Tumwine, a bush war hero, died at the age of 68. He served as an army commander, army representative in parliament, chairman of the UPDF General Court Martial, cabinet minister, and lastly as a presidential advisor.
A wonderful institution called the UPDF. At this time in our history, when every corner of Uganda is at peace. Congratulations, UPDF.
He was also an artist. He succumbed to lung cancer. Yona Kanyomozi was a dyed-in-the-wool cadre of the Uganda People's Congress Party. At one time, he was the Minister for Cooperatives and also a Member of Parliament for Bushenyi South constituency.
I became a Minister for Cooperatives from 1979. I stayed on until the gunmen pushed us out in 1985.
He died at the age of 82. Jakana Naduli's death came as a shock to many. At 37, he had made his name in social media circles for his fearless criticism of everything from the government, the Mengo establishment, to lambasting his father's bushwar comrades. A few months before his death, He had been severely injured in a grisly accident. Then, as he healed, he was dragged to court to answer to charges of promoting sectarianism. Not much is known about the life of Lieutenant Colonel Ahmed Kashilingi after he was released from Luzira prison, where he had spent time after being convicted for treason. However, what is known is that during the Bush War that brought President Yoweri Museveni to power, Kashilingi commanded the National Resistance Army's 5th Battalion that also captured Katonga Bridge as well as Entebbe Road. Paul Kawanga Ssemwogerere, a stalwart of democracy in Uganda's politics, led the opposition Democratic Party for 25 years. After he retired from active politics, for years until his death, many young opposition politicians drank from his fountain of experience and intelligence. He contested for the presidency in 1980 and 1996 and lost both times to Apollo Milton Obote and Yoweri Museveni, respectively. He died at 90 years. Justice Ruby Opio Aweri served the judiciary for nearly 4 decades, having started out as a Grade 1 magistrate in 1983. He was a justice of the Supreme Court at the time of his death. He was claimed by a stroke at 68, a year before his retirement.
I gave to this one. This one was there for
Patrick
5 years.
Okabe, the Serere County lawmaker, and his wife, Christine Okabe, died in a road accident. Okabe was the overseer of Impact Ministries Church. His friends, peers, and those he mentored described him as a peace lover and a devoted Christian. John Mitala was probably the longest-serving head of public service and secretary to cabinet, a post he held for 19 years. Before that, he had worked his way up the ranks of the public service. The president eulogized him as a man who will be remembered as a distinguished and strict proponent of an orderly civil service in Uganda. On the international scene, today we lost Pope Emeritus Benedict XVI, aged 95. Benedict served as the head of the Catholic Church and sovereign of the Vatican City-State from 19th April 2005 until his resignation on 28 February 2013. Born Joseph Aloysius Ratzinger in Bavaria, Germany, Pope Benedict, in tendering in his resignation, cited a lack of strength of mind and body due to his advanced age. He was the first pope to resign since Gregory XII in 1415. His reign was dogged by accusations of sexual abuse leveled against various priests of the church. Shinzo Abe, Japan's longest-serving leader, was assassinated as he gave a campaign speech. In the same month, Mikhail Gorbachev, the Soviet leader who is credited with ending the Cold War and later won a Nobel Peace Prize, also died.
Most Britons can't remember.
In September, Queen Elizabeth II, Britain's longest-reigning monarch, died at 96 years. Yesterday, the Brazilian soccer legend Pelé lost his battle against colon cancer. May their souls rest in eternal peace. Gillian Nantume, NTV, Weekend Edition.